Welcome to the True North Compliance Podcast, where we discuss regulatory and compliance issues for Canadian business.
Hello, I'm Sean O'Hara, and thanks for listening. Today's episode is a YouTube live stream series I am doing with my co-host John Jurisic, who is the facilitator of the Sidney Breakfast Club. This series is the Sidney Breakfast Club After Hours.
Good afternoon to the... Sean, what do we have now on our Sidney Breakfast Club After Hours? About 32 million people are watching, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, they are. So,
All over
gentlemen,
the place.
welcome to a voluminous audience online. And the Sidney Breakfast Club After Hours sessions are all about digging a little deeper into the previous session, which was very well attended. And we have two panelists here that were there, and I think we're going to get a third, so we'll welcome him when he's ready. And this topic of corporate efficiency, corporate productivity is now a priority, not only for companies who are looking for ways to deal with the tariff wars and the economic uncertainty, but it looks like as a country, we are also looking to find ways to be more productive and more efficient because we're going bankrupt. We got deficits bigger than I've ever seen in my lifetime by 10 times. And the only way to do that is for us to generate more business and become more efficient and more productive. So we had some great discussions with you folks. And maybe I can start with Jim. Jim, you might want to just introduce yourself, have Mike introduce yourselves, and then we'll start with a question.
I'll keep it simple here. My name is Jim Lowe. I'm the Director of Operations here at Viala Electronics. So we're out in the Saanich community building control handles and throttle controls. Thank you for having me, John.
Thank you for joining us. So before we get to Mike, I've been doing labor market partnership activity for a dozen years. And that was working with the province, engaging with businesses. And I engaged with Daryl Locklear of SureGrip Controls, which was your previous company or was that company. And so I'm somewhat familiar with what a big operation you guys are running there. Oh, man.
Definitely that. I would say we've got a 14,000 square foot currently, and then we're moving and having a new facility built over by the technology park. So we're moving into a 35,000 square feet facility there. So it is showing that business is growing, but also how we do business and business flow changes with the dynamics as well. So we kind of need this not just for growth, but for flow and future growth.
Yeah, for survival. It looks like the folks that embrace this globally will be the survivors. Mike, let us know what you do and who you are.
Hello, and I'm the owner of Viala Technologies. We're a small machine design shop, and we focus a lot on custom manufacturing equipment, and we help a lot of local other manufacturers automate their processes and such. A couple of years ago, we also branched into manufacturing for ourselves, and we partnered with an AI company that makes license plate reading systems for reading for person enforcement systems. So yeah, and
So we're the cause of all those parking.
yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
Much appreciated. The fact that you're more at a startup stage, I take it, but the fact that you're embracing these principles is great. Okay, so clearly you're going to do okay. Hey Ray, how are you? You popped into our little party here.
Sorry, it got a little hectic here. I'm in the back of an Uber on the way to the ferry right now.
Lordy, hey, Ray, thank you for doing this. Much appreciated. I explained to by the way, there's quite an audience watching us. I last checked, it was 32 million people.
Bigger than last time. That's good.
Hey,
Okay.
a lot of people interested in lean. Perhaps you could introduce yourself and what you do. That's the stage we're at right now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Ray Brougham, president and founder of Rainhouse Manufacturing Canada. We've been at this for about going on 25 years now. And so we manufacture for aerospace, defense, medical, and marine industries. So you see, that's quite a wide swath of areas they're involved in. And equally, our offerings are pretty diversified. We do CNC machining, we have circuit board assembly, contract manufacturing, R&D, and And we even do some purchasing for some customers.
Holy mackerel, they're going to have to clone you. Essentially, the bulk of you are going to grow. Sean, why don't you give us a quick little summary of what you're doing, what you do as well?
A quick summary of what I'm doing. That can be tough. I'm a marketer. I deal with a variety of different trades and manufacturers in the healthcare sector, and like to go back to the old roots of direct response marketing, more than just the brand advertising of putting it out there, but what is actually going to bring in the results.
Yeah, you're actually doing sales marketing. That's how I consider it. And that's what Ray and I do. We actually pick up the phone after we send a text and a PDF. Okay, so this is a follow-up to the last session about increasing productivity and increasing efficiency. I'm going to start with Jim. Jim, some folks would like to know, what the hell does that mean? We talk about this. We say, be more productive. The country has to be more predictive. And whoops, what?
And that's it. Everybody looks to lean as well. It's one simple process. Follow these 14 steps and you're going to achieve business success. Really, lean is all about identifying ways within the company you want zero defects, zero inventories, offer endless variety. Great. Awesome. How do we do that? It really is. It starts with identifying your business, your process flow. Do you have a strategy? Okay, great. Now working through that, really your tool belt is the biggest thing in lean. You look at value stream, you identify your current processes, and then look for process improvements. There's other tools like 5S. How do we sort, shine, and the rest of the S's that go with it. There's your inventory management. So lean isn't necessarily the one process in what you do. So I look for, where do you want your greatest improvement? Sometimes it is inventory management. Great. I don't want to have excess. And especially today, like you've alluded to, John, with tariffs and that, we really need to be careful. What is our overhead? Do we have excess? Can we continue moving through it? How do I order it and replenish it? What's my safety stock? Like that in itself is a whole lean topic, like that can go on.
I'm going to challenge you, Jim. I'm going to actually challenge Mike and Ray, and let's make this a little bit more provocative today. And then, because we can. So I'm involved with communications all my life. I've run businesses. I've had tons of staff. My role has always been on the front end, getting the sale, marketing, promoting, the communication side. Okay. When Ray invited me to be involved with the formation of the Vancouver Island Manufacturing Excellence Alliance, VIMIA, I said, of course. I've been active on the front end of that, promoting that. During the course of all of that, I'm learning more about lean because I'm not an operational guy and I'm not an engineer, and I'm learning more. And the more I learn about it, the more it occurs to me that it's about effective communication as it is about improving processes. That you can sit and go, how do you get to improve process? You got to talk about it, and you got to have some sort of community of understanding of common goals. So there's my provocative statement to you, Jim. What do you think of that?
I would totally agree. For the provocative statement, I think when I initially started out my lean journey in the early careers, a lot of people asked, what do you do here? And I said, I consider myself a linguistic specialist. What? And I said, I take what engineers are talking about and translate that into production speak. And then I take it from production into engineering. Not really, more agreeing with you that it is a style and a delivery of communication is the lean process. People learn through various activities. Some are better at reading. Others would prefer if you give it to me with a hands-on approach or in a class, or let me do it by myself, right? So you have to cater your delivery to the individuals in the team. And honestly, when you go in with a lean approach, the mindset for the change agent can't be, everybody's going to look at me as a savior. I'm sorry. You have the biggest target on you because you're going against the grain. So you're trying to present and talk to them, and you really have to be open and receptive. One key point about this is, am I listening to respond, or am I listening what the point and the message that they're
listen
across?
Yeah.
And that's the big thing too. So communicate and listening, both are key here.
Thank you, Sean. I'm not hogging, but I just thought I would chat with bring in our three guests and then maybe a second layer. I know Ray has a lot to say about that, but Mike, you've been kind enough to join us. You're a new business, you're a startup. Good for you. Kudos that you're recognizing that you need to do this. Well done. What are some of the elements that have prompted you to get there in your company? And you've started things.
For us, and I think also Ray has this similar problem. We go hardcore on a design and on a process for a short period of time, and then we do that for, I don't know, a few months or something like that, and then we often switch processes. So lean for us is really about making our work areas dynamic and able to adapt really quickly to new jobs. So, like I mentioned, the license plate reading systems, we'll do 50 in a few months, and then we won't have any for 3 months, and then we'll do 20 in a couple months after that. We don't want to waste our space and all of our setups. So we want to make our spaces really dynamic so that we can build something else in there while we're having slow periods. So in our area, we're really trying to focus on kids and making everything, the process, really dynamic, and that's why we're trying to eliminate waste.
I think it's great that you've joined this community. We could call ourselves something, right? Efficiency guys, or we're in some kind of name like those Disney shows, the Dynamic Four, or some kind of name for us would be great.
Meaner than vanilla, which sounds nice and soft and
Leaders. Right. I know that you've been an absolute leader in this area, and you've been involved with this, and you're now trying to have the community embrace it. But talk more from a corporate piece. You running Rainhouse Manufacturing. Why do you?
Where's this going for? About this a lot with people is we started a lean journey quite some time, and shortly after we started, we figured we solved it, and we didn't have much more to do, and that couldn't have been further from the truth. But even with the resolve that you're going to be relentless and you're going to make this top of mind in everybody's mind, things get in the way. And so we remind ourselves quite often that we still have a lot of work to do. And that's got to come from the top, that this is important, and it is. And so what you really have to do is shine a lot of light on successes and make sure that people understand that effort is not wasted. And we got on the bandwagon of doing 2-second lean improvements for some time, and a lot of good ideas came from it. But now we're graduating to other things. And so it's an evolution. And I think there are some parts of lean that got that figured out. But it'll lull yourself into the sense that that part's okay. And so you need to audit yourself to be honest with yourself.
Constantly evolving. I've been involved with online training all my life. One of the precepts to that, the foundational, is this lifelong learning. And so what I'm hearing from you is lifelong improvement.
Yeah,
is a mantra. One more question, and I'll get to Sean, who is likely going, "What the hell, Jurassic? What are you doing?" But why, Ray? Let's raise this up. Why should our manufacturing community give a shit about collectively all trying to be more efficient? What is it about the sort of the national and global manufacturing environment that we're all thinking we should be talking to each other?
Yeah, just from a productivity compared to GDP, we're not doing that great. So think about this. Korea builds ships. 60% of their processes are automated. We build ships, and I don't know if it's 5% that's automated. Yeah. So that therein lies the problem, is we're just not very aware or interested. I don't know exactly how to frame it, but it seems like we've just missed that part about being intimately connected to what I do results in something that supports.
Well, Canada used to be a global leader in innovation and efficiency and a recognition that we're a small player, but we're a big player, that we're in a big market. Why not, guys?
It's funny, I was at the Association of BC Marine Industries Business Opportunities Conference, and somebody from the Defense Department in Canada got up and We used to crank out 3 ships a month when in wartime, right? We had the biggest, and we do have the biggest 3 coasts, right? From coast to coast. That's a lot of waterfront. We were leaders in this area, and look where we got to. We could get into all kinds of political discussions as to why that is. And starting to see some glimmer of hope that Canada's a big ship with a tiny rudder. Problem is, changing direction is not happening as fast as it should be. And what it means for us, SMEs, which are 90% of the economy, is we have to get our act together, because if they do, we're going to be there. So that's the hope. We can't do anything about tariffs. We can't do anything about all the big things that are going on in the world. But if we build a strong foundation industrially and community, it involves everything, community as well. So you have to, and get people to think about productivity as a good thing, a necessary thing. We love and enjoy the lifestyle we have here. Do all of us work for it? 100%. I think we got to just look in the mirror a little bit and ask that question of ourselves.
The overall community and the overall benefits.
Go ahead, John.
Instead of waiting and being able to work collectively. I know one of the topics that we had was on the marine industry, talking about shipbuilding and building ferries, and not all of our 32, now we're now up to 33 million listeners are in BC, so they would not be aware of what's happening with ferries, but we have our latest ferries being built in China, and that was one of the questions. What would it take and to build them here? And one of the comments was it would take investment. What it would actually take before that is the will to do it.
Yeah, and the capacity. There's so many things that are missing out of that equation. And I don't think anybody wants to triple their ferry ticket price or wait 10 more years for a ferry. I think it's a wake-up call, though, and there's a way to deal with that, is make a plan that's in the future decades, not election cycles. And that's what's starting to happen with, at least with defense procurement.
How about this thing? Because I think a lot of what Lean is about change management, people's ability to change. And guess for all of us, we know that it is very difficult for people to change. What if all of a sudden 80% of your team determines that there are some processes that should be adopted, and that would collectively agree that we're going to now therefore improve efficiency, make more money, improve our margin? What do you do about that 20% that don't want to change, besides the obvious, which is firing them? And this is to Jim. I'm asking this question.
Okay. You're always going to have the naysayers. This will never work. I've seen this improvement. You tried it 5 years ago, whatever. It really is bringing them along again for the journey, involving in discussions, accepting that this is where we're moving to, understanding that there's going to be some pushback. I understand, but the company goal, the company vision, the strategy is here, and we need to align with it. When we present it and you're working with them and through, they tend to come along on their own decision. And sometimes joining a company is not, I would say, in the past where you've joined and this is where my career is for the next 35, 40 years. I am with this company. That's not the thing today. So people's passions, their values, their goals are going to change too. And it may not align with the company, but their decision at that point is, I'm either on board with this, or unfortunately, they're finding another company that aligns with their goals and strategies. Yeah, that's acceptable. And I think working in the community, as we do with teaching Lean, we're strengthening the entire community so that, guess what? You're going to have those that will jump ship from here over to Mike and vice versa. That's the evolution that we want, because growing the skill set is the exact same as buying a $20 million piece of equipment. People are just that. This is a skill that is transferable. And I need to invest in you. Wish you could stay, but things change. Great, help us grow, or they're finding their path. And so I can't have and make people see it. They have to
And
willing to invest.
Yeah.
They do. Yeah.
How about you, Mike? Have you come across this issue yet?
Yeah, definitely. But I think also that lean is largely about making your job easier. And it doesn't make a lot of sense for somebody not to want to have their job easier. So I think like seeing somebody else, if somebody's reluctant to adopt a process or to try and implement changes that make their job easier, seeing somebody else doing it in your organization can be a really motivating factor. And so once they're around it and they see, hey, this guy's job, he's doing something similar that I do, but he's doing it much easier than I am, they come on board with that. Only in the worst case scenario, I think, would somebody have to leave because they're not helping out in this way.
Both John and I have run larger companies, marketing companies. I come from the era, I know Ray and I have talked about this, where there was a time when I used to demand that people change. And if they didn't, I would say, then you have to leave. That's old school now. That doesn't work. That wouldn't be accepted in the workforce. I know, Ray, you've made your own changes that way, haven't you? And embraced your work community as opposed to demanding from your community.
You could say we're lean then because because we've learned from our mistakes, adapted, changed our processes, and changed the way we approach solving problems. So that's a lesson well learned. Not everybody learns it, but I know.
Yeah. So in your hiring processes, is there anything you put them through to determine, I don't know if how you call it, open-minded mindset?
Yeah, we have working interviews where you're actually doing the things that you're going to be doing when you work there. And so you see, because we had so many people that were very good at marketing themselves. And then when you put them to work, they say, you're going to invest in, because all those things I said I could do, I know. So we have, it's if you're going to apply for a quality control job there, you're going to get a drawing and you're going to get a part and some measuring tools. And so to preface all that, we make sure we understand what the person says they can do. So then the test is based on their knowledge. If they tell us that they're fairly green in quality control, then it's going to be a different approach. But if they're very well experienced, then they're going to hit the harder questions. And then we watch how that process unfolds. So you're coming to work for us for 4 hours.
Yeah, it's funny. We here at Bailey, we have something similar in production. So production is a hands-on environment. During our interview process, we'll present the interviewee with a handle assembly. It's all taken apart. Mm-hmm. And we actually go, we're going to leave you alone for 20 minutes, put it together the way you think it is. And then we come back and we ask them, what did you think of it? What was difficult? What did, my questioning along that is not the ability to put it together, is what is the thought process of the individual? Are they expressing openness? I was really frustrated at first, but then I worked through it and I started to look at different levels of it, and perfect. That's what I want, is somebody who can express, who is able to challenge themselves, feel that limit, and then push through it and come out the other end. It's great. You know what? You missed a screw, but that doesn't matter. When we do that, we also have some, not unlike what Ray described in supply chain, like work assignments. We go, here, we'd like you to work through this scenario. And really, if they're touching points on some lean topics and what have you, and again, based on their level of experience, it's, you can really see it. And I've had people in the past go, yeah, no, I'm okay. Okay, that's fine. You don't have to. It's, so it's an interesting level. Yeah.
Mike, is 32 million people watching this because we're giving away all the fun.
That'll lend itself to my final question, and then we'll stop recording. Mike, did you want to touch upon if you had occasion to implement sort of unique processes for hiring folks at this stage?
No, I only hired about 9 people in total. And the thing that really gets me when I'm interviewing people is just talking about their past projects and how passionate they are about them. How much did they actually know? Like if it was a group project, and like how much contribution did they have in it? And like how many details are they willing to go into? If they know a lot of the details, they were pretty heavily involved in it. And that's my primary focus on and then just whether I think I can get along with them. We're a small team. We hang around each other all day long. That's a pretty big aspect of it.
Yes. We've now occupied about 40 minutes of your time, which in the general scheme of things is becoming now inefficient for running your businesses. So let's finish this in the spirit of what we're talking about. And maybe each of you might have some expression of where you want to see the future go with all of this. I, for example, would like to see Vancouver Island, Lower Vancouver Island specifically, become a global center for innovation and efficiency and productivity dialogue. And I think we're getting there. And okay, global center. That means, okay, why don't we try to be a BC center? And let's try to do that in 5 years and capture that dynamic entrepreneurial spirit again that we used to have.
Okay.
How about you guys? Where would you like to see?
Yeah. I grew up on the island here, and I love this place, and I have a similar feeling as you. I'd like to see this be a very prosperous place to live. And I think that's through creating good jobs. And in order to create good jobs, you've got to be competitive. And I've been to Japan many times, and I feel like we're not quite, as far as an international level, we're not quite there. We're a little bit spoiled. And I think we've got to try hard and trim the fat.
Right on.
Yeah, similar. What I can say is that we love to have the lifestyle that we do have, and I don't think it lines up with the output. So I'm not trying to be negative about it, but I think it's very valid to say that we are in a global family and we have to be contributing more if we want to keep living this kind of lifestyle. As I said before, you got to have the foundation to actually give our leaders something to rely on. So in my own company, if I've got a whole bunch of inept people and I bring in work, it's not going to end well. But if I've got the great team that I do have, I'm happy to just overload them, just give them as much as they can take. That is how you grow a business. And so I think what we're doing is doing our part at the bedrock level to be able to have a super strong foundation so that we can build on it.
Right.
So that's my goal with all this. Do what you can, fix the things you can fix, and keep track of what's going on where you can't make change. Obviously, we get to vote every once in a while, and that's when we make that difference.
Yes. Thank you, Ray. That's great. Go ahead, Jim.
Wow. That's hard to follow up with everybody's. What am I going to pick?
You can go ditto.
Yeah, I think to Ray and Mike's bit here, growing our foundation really starts with us in the community. And that foundation is having, for me, an open door policy. I need to be open both to my people, who we have working, and outside to come in. Lessons learned. There's tons. I don't mind sharing. I think that's the only way businesses grow is through learned lessons of others' failures.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I encourage my team taking an action and failing. Fail because we will learn from it and we will grow better. I don't think I've ever implemented a process that worked the first time. There was always tweaks, right? For me, where I'd like to see it is having that list of who's my on-call that I can refer to, or name it. Name the lean process you want, or just advice, or talk ideas, bounce that off. Because I think in this community, it's really hard to get together and speak out without feeling that, oh, maybe they think I'm not a good business leader. I don't know anything or everything. So let's work through it together. I think that's the mantra.
These are great responses. Go ahead, Sean.
I'm just wondering if we can get a plug for Viala since we're near the end of our time.
Oh, that would be Viala plugging.
Yeah.
That will be Viala. The Vancouver Island Manufacturing Excellence Alliance, started by Ray, certainly is gaining some momentum and is trying to capture all of what we discussed today, and building a community and providing education and collectively pursuing opportunities and using efficiency and productivity to get there. That's what Viala is going to do. So thank you, Sean. You're right.
So if there's local manufacturers and they want to find out more, where can they go?
It's going to be all over around these boxes. I'm going to plug it all over the place, and I'll put the URL up there. And there'll be, I think, lots of exciting updates. In the meantime, to all three of you, obviously to my co-host, thank you. We're at really pivotal times, and your input, your commitment, and all fun, and maybe most importantly, your passion is so much appreciated. Thank you. Till next time.